For today's video, we're going to look back through Phoenix Suns history to locate some moves that the Suns could have done differently over the span of the last decade or so. Decisions that could have had them sitting today as an NBA dynasty, winning multiple championships. Alright, so news that the Suns passed on Kawhi Leonard in the draft, in large part due to a nervous interview, resurfaced a couple of days ago.
I worked out for Charlotte Bobcats, the Wizards, then I went to Cleveland, and now I'm at Sacramento.
How much of a grind is
And I went to Toronto too also.
How much of a grind is this?
There were also concerns about his lack of a jump shot, which was understandable. Not many had predicted he'd be able to improve so much in this area. The other half of it, however, brings up the question of why do some NBA GMs put such pressure on 18 to 19-year-olds entering the NBA? Many of them are still teenagers when they make the decision to enter the NBA draft. Yes, of course, they're not just completely normal teenagers. They're accustomed to somewhat of a spotlight on them, being the top players in their high school and college teams. But then all of a sudden they're just thrown to the wolves and thrust into a whole new level of stress when they become NBA prospects. It's completely normal to have some jitters when your entire future and career depends on how you perform in pre-draft workouts and the answers you provide in pre-draft interviews. Why should being an awkward interviewee even factor in the decision to draft someone as a basketball player? It's not as if Kawhi showed glimpses or signs of a troubling character. He was highly regarded as a smart, respectful, and professional kid. So we're going to start by selecting Kawhi with the 13th pick in the 2011 draft instead of Markieff Morris. Then we're going to have to bounce back 2 years for the 2009 NBA draft. For a couple of weeks or so, the Phoenix Suns and Golden State Warriors were involved in serious negotiation discussions of a trade that would send Amare for Golden State in exchange for the draft rights to Steph Curry if they were able to secure him with the number 7 pick. After becoming head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr sat down with Warriors reporter Tim Kawakami to answer some questions about the potential deal. At the time that the two teams were undergoing trade talks, Kerr was the GM of the Suns. Now that he was no longer in that position, he's able to speak on the details of this with the media. During this interview, he shed some light on how the Suns management saw Curry as the next Steve Nash. They planned to have Nash mentor Steph until he was ready to eventually become his successor. Today, Nash has almost the same mentoring role, working as a player development coach with Golden State and sometimes running drills one-on-one with Steph. Originally, the Suns were asking for Curry and other players in return for Amare. This time, the Suns sweetened the deal to the point where it's too enticing for Golden State to pass up by throwing in more trade pieces, including draft rights to the number 13 pick. Phoenix originally was operating under the impression that they were going to acquire Curry. Because of this, they selected Earl Clark instead of Drew Holiday because they didn't want to overdraft point guards. Drew Holiday turned out to be a very much superior player. Instead, this time they take Holiday in order to send him to Golden State in the trade package for Curry. In the 2009-10 season, the Suns struggled far worse than they would have had they kept Amare. Instead of reaching the conference finals, they remain on the outside looking in by the time the NBA playoffs roll around. But this sacrifice is all part of the rebuilding process they were going to find themselves at the very next season either way. Now we gotta skip all the way back to 2004 when Phoenix acquired a 2010 first rounder in a trade with the Knicks. A month later at the trade deadline, however, the Suns ended up trading this same pick to the Jazz in a salary dump deal. This time, the Suns managed their salaries smartly with better planning rather than having to orchestrate any last-minute deals in which they end up giving up valuable assets, as 6 years later in the 2010 NBA draft, this very pick turns into Gordon Hayward. Now the Suns have a young trio in Curry, Hayward, and Kawhi. They've yet to hit their breakout seasons, but once they do, they mesh together so perfectly they're a practically unstoppable core. Now all they need is time for growth and a couple surrounding pieces added to the supporting cast. We've already talked about what went down in the 2011 draft. The Suns have a slightly better season, however, Nash is aging and Steph and Gordon aren't yet ready to carry a team. They only slip one spot in the draft and take Kawhi. In the 11-12 season, the Suns make a major turnaround and perform so well that they end up with only the 22nd draft selection. They need a presence at the rim and select Festus Ezeli, who had initially gone to the Warriors at 30. The 2013 draft rolls around. Steph Curry had a breakout season. The Suns had improved once more. Instead of selecting Alex Len at number 5, they end up with the 25th pick. With it, they draft Rudy Gobert. One thing I realized when researching for this video is how fucking amazing Utah's scouting staff is, so I decided to adopt some of their thinking as the new theoretical Suns GM. Festus proved to be more suitable as a backup center off the bench, and Phoenix hopes Gobert can develop into the starter they need. For now, him and Ezeli will split minutes at the 5 position until one of them comes out on top. The Suns own 3 picks in the first round of the 2014 NBA draft. The 14th pick was the one that they held as their own draft pick. As the top team in the league now, this was now number 30. They select Nikola Jokic instead of Denver taking him in the 2nd round. They also had the 18th pick from a Marcin Gortat for a Emeka Okafor trade with Washington. This pick is now the 20th, and again, taking a page out of the Jazz's book, they pick Rodney Hood as a backup wing. Lastly, the 27th pick acquired in a trade with Indiana for Luis Scola. This is now the 25th pick, with which they take Clint Capella. Out of Jokic and Capella, they hope one can grow into a starting caliber power forward. We've now successfully built a team for the ages in Phoenix with a depth chart of Steph Curry, Gordon Hayward, Kawhi, Jokic, and Gobert, and then Hood, Capella, and Ezeli off of the bench. Of course, once some of these rookie deals are complete, they'll have some trouble keeping the team together unless they all make major contractual sacrifices. Nonetheless, all it'll take is the big 4 of Curry, Hayward, Kawhi, and Gobert staying together for this team to win multiple NBA championships. Let me know in the comments how many rings you think they could win, as well as what you think will happen going forward past 2014 for the Suns and for the rest of the league. Hit me up with your requests for a future what if scenario. Follow me on Twitter for exclusive polls, and you can vote to decide my next videos. Like, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell. And as a disclaimer, obviously much of this would be impossible to foresee, except with hindsight 2020, to be able to look back at how the early stages of players' careers have transpired and how they've progressed or not progressed to achieve the anticipated potential from before they were drafted. So I'm not throwing shade at any Suns management for the most part. Some of it though was just plain dumb and shouldn't have even ever happened to begin with. And before I end this video, just a quick channel announcement for you guys. This is my first video as an official member of BBTV's NBA Playmakers Network. I'm having some trouble adapting to the new rules and regulations, so I apologize if things aren't how they normally were in this video and for the next couple of them, but all in all, it's a big positive for the channel, and I thank each and every one of you for helping me get to this point. Eventually I'll sort out how to make do with the new system, but in the meantime, I appreciate all of the love and support, and most of all, patience during this channel transition. Clay Allen on the mic, signing off. Peace.